News Weekly. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 127, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. But, of course, at the start of the podcast, we gotta let you know, Clay just moved into his new place, so his audio might sound a little wonky.
Yeah, I usually, in my old apartment, I had like all sorts of shit in here covering the walls and stuff, and so that really absorbed a lot of the sound. Here, it's still all blank. I'm trying to fill some stuff up, but I really won't be able to do that until the weekend. So, yeah.
Yeah. So if it's a little low, I might just bump his volume in the post, but just bear with us as we're working through all the technical difficulties. But we got a lot of entertainment news, specifically a lot of Batman news, which is perfect for this podcast. But the Batman has dropped so much more stuff, and Clay, I'm going to tell you, I'm tired of it. I'm fucking tired of it, bro. I just want March 1st to come around so we can go watch this damn movie and I could be done with it. Like, and I never thought I would say that about a Batman movie, but they just released some new scene that apparently Batman punches Gordon or something.
Yeah,
I didn't watch it.
I will say this. I watched it without audio, and I still feel like, because here's the difference in the stuff that they have released and this. So, because my host for DC Alliance was like, can we talk about this? Like, I just really want to talk about it. I was like, fine, whatever, I will watch it. I've already seen it without audio, but I will watch it. And the reason I said I'll watch this one is 50 seconds is completely different than a 4K 2-minute release of an entire scene.
Yeah.
Like, 2 minutes can contain so much more than just 50 seconds. And don't get me wrong, 50 seconds is still, a long time. We do podcasts. Yeah. 50 seconds is a lot. But through what I saw, I think it's small enough for me to just be like, yeah, why not? There's nothing too crazy about this unless something they say is like a giant spoiler, which that would fucking suck. But as of right now, I think it'll be fine for me to watch this. But I'm not going out of my way trying to find other clips and stuff to watch.
Yeah, no, we have some very big fans in our Discord that love to post everything, which shout out to Ethan. But like, I think I'm just jaded from reviews, man, that I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I think I'm just so, like, reviews tarnished me so bad that I just want to be surprised by the littlest shit. And, like, I just can't, like, all the interviews and, like, this is what I did and this is how I thought about shit. And I'm just like, ugh, I don't care. Like, I just want to watch the movie.
And we've talked about this before, right? About the whole thing about how we as Batman fans hosting a Batman podcast, we need to be in the know for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And you're right. It does kind of get us jaded in, like, oh, another Batman comic is coming up. Yay. Oh, another Batman animated movie, yay! Like, because we're getting all of this information more so than any general audience member or even the casual fan would, because we're kind of seeking it out.
Yeah,
which kind of like unfortunately puts us in spoiler territory with some stuff. And I mean, there's, from what I have been hearing, also, by the way, critics embargoes end on the 28th of February. So literally the day before we go and see the fan event of the Batman is when you're going to start seeing all the critics post their reviews and everything else. So, there's that there.
I forgot there was only 28 days in February.
Yes, so did I. when my friend was like, oh, embargo is the 28th, a day before we get to see it. And I'm like, I'm seeing it on the 1st. What day are you seeing it? He's like, on the 1st. I was like, but you said it was the 28th. He's like, it's February, bro. And I was like, yeah, it's I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude. I was like, shit. Everything just bundles together. But yeah, I mean, there's just a bunch of, like, I think new, like, high-res photos came out. They did that scene. Yeah, there's just a bunch, I mean, like a bunch of promo crap, like posters and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, dude, where was this for every other DC movie?
It's Batman, dude. It's Batman. Like, we know this.
Yeah, I know that, but we're always bitching that the advertising's terrible for every other movie.
Yeah.
But it's just like, bro, do it for this one too. I mean, for every other one too, if you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, there's a lot of Batman stuff out there if you want to go check that out, ladies and gentlemen. The most intriguing thing out of all this was somebody did ask Matt Reeves, how would a Mr. Freeze or could a Mr. Freeze work in your grounded universe? And he says he has an idea or something that he thinks could work, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's kind of how he worded it.
Yeah, I can actually find the quote here. I actually have it up on Discord, to be completely honest. It says here, Matt Reeves is in. See, discussing film, I really love them for being able to do the research and finding these articles and stuff. But like, they do the clickbaity stuff, and so it says here, Matt Reeves is interested in the idea of bringing Mr. Freeze in the Batman sequel. That's not what he said. What he actually said is, I think there's actually a grounded version of that story, which could be really powerful and could be really great.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to him planning out this trilogy, or possibly even more, we have no idea. I think he had to sit down and say, okay, I have Batman. I know I'm going to have Catwoman. I know I'm going to have Riddler for this first story. But how am I going to expand this world? Yeah. And as much as we hate it, I'm sure he's already thought of Joker. And so you kind of
find out on the first.
Yeah. We have to then say, okay, if he's gone through these villains and heroes, then he must have gone through other heroes and villains as well, you know? And consider like a Mr. Freeze and be like, okay, what does that look like in my Batman world?
Yeah.
And you said, it's not going to be as hysterical as Arnold Schwarzenegger, but like all you would really have to do, honestly, in the way I'm looking at it, is a small little thing to explain the freeze gun and then just go with it. That's basically it.
I mean, we had a discussion, 2 podcasts ago about, this idea of Batman being realistic and like, unless he showcases, CGI type villains or, just like supernatural type villains in this first movie, I don't think you can go supernatural or crazy in the second movie because you're going to be like, whoa, the tones are way different. This makes no sense. But you can destroy that whole theory or that whole idea by just showing Arkham with a bunch of crazy people in it. And that just opens up the universe. But when I heard this grounded Mr. Freeze, I automatically thought, okay, the way Matt Reeves would make Mr. Freeze is he's going to be a murderer or something along those lines that hides bodies in freezers, or he uses like nitro fucking oxide or whatever the fuck it's called
nitrous
to freeze.
Oxide.
Yeah, nitrous oxide to freeze his, his victims, a la the way the Terminator did, in fucking Terminator 2. Yeah. So I think that's what they would end up doing, and that's just kind of boring to me, in my opinion. Like, I wouldn't care. Like, I want the comic booky stuff, but I just don't think in this realistic Matt Reeves world you can explain a gun that shoots fucking ice and freezes stuff. I just don't think you can.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure because, I mean, I've said this before, I'll say it again. A lot of people are trying to make the argument, this man made us believe, apes could talk.
Yes.
And that is true, but that is true for that world. Yeah. And the idea, when people think of grounded Batman, they don't think of the fantastical stuff. They don't think of the crazy looking Clayface or, the Poison Ivies or,
even Killer Croc.
Yeah, Killer Croc. I suggested you could do Mad Hatter, but instead of like brainwashing, like there's a form of brainwashing in our real world, which is just hypnotism and manipulation. People, I mean, have you not heard the fucking stories of freaking cults all around the world, like through time? Like that shit is real.
If you want to go with the pedo Mad Hatter route,
Ooh.
You could easily do that because it's Alice in Wonderland and he'd be going after kids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to get real fucked up, you could easily do that, which I think that would fit perfectly into Matt Reeves's universe.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it would be a hardcore story to tell.
Yeah.
I don't think WB wants to fuck with pedos. So, but if you beat the shit out of a pedo at the end of the movie, then maybe it's all good, you know? So, but yeah, I don't really know. I just don't see it working unless he shows us at the end. Because again, a man in clown makeup is totally believable. That's just Halloween. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a freeze gun that freezes shit is very unrealistic. And if you make your whole movie serious and believable, it throws a wrench into the whole fucking machine, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
We'll see what happens. But yes, he says he has ideas, but I just don't think they would be what we would expect. Anyways, moving on from that though, we did get our first look, kind of grainy, flip phone technology photos of Michael Keaton's Batsuit in Batgirl. What did you think of this?
So, I mean, these are a lot better than, well, correction. Have we had a podcast since we saw the flip phone one compared to the one that I shared just recently?
I don't think so. Or at least we didn't mention it.
Okay. So we got the flip phone photos, but then we got like a little bit closer. And this is the one where we saw a little bit more of what his cowl's going to look like, because I do think the cowl is a little different. Yeah. We do see a much younger, dyed, red-haired Jim Gordon, J.K. Simmons in here. I will admit and people are saying, oh, maybe this is just a stunt suit, but the Keaton like chest plate honestly looks like football pads, like a chest plate, like the pads. And I was like, why is he wearing football pads? Yeah. And then my friend was like, because Batman said you shouldn't be wearing hockey masks. Yeah. And I was like, God damn it.
You never get away from that joke. Like John Cena will never get away from the fucking "you can't see me" joke.
But honestly, one thing that I immediately noticed that I have critiqued about the Batman '89 suit is the fact that the emblem is bigger. You can actually see that it's like Batman. Yeah. Because if you look back at the Batman costume, it's just a small little oval. And it's just like very, very tiny. And I've always I've never liked that. This is very prominent. You see it. People have been like, oh man, is he wearing Nikes? Is he wearing Jordans? What kind of shoes are those? Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. But I'm glad that we're actually being able to see this. I'm sure. And then so I want to ask you a question, because people have been arguing me about this. And you may put me in my place with this. So, when it comes to getting a picture of Michael Keaton, do they release it now? Or do you think you have to wait until after the Batman is released?
You mean like to show his suit?
Yeah.
I mean, we're so close to the Batman. Like, you can wait until after. But I don't think it would matter that much.
So people have been saying that in regards to like just talking to me about this, because I said on DC Alliance that like you should just show it already. Like we know that Keaton is in this movie. We know Keaton's in The Flash. We should just see like an official photo. And they're like, oh no, it's gonna drive away people to talk about Keaton and not about Pattinson. And I think it would ruin the marketing. And I'm like, no. Are you fucking kidding me? It's Batman.
Yeah. If that was the cause, they would have never fucking hired two Batman at the same time.
Exactly.
We have three Batman at the same time. What am I fucking saying? Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I just think you're so close anyways. Why? You know, you need something after the Batman comes out, you know? Yeah. So maybe just wait to keep the buzz going for the Flash, like drop some badass promo pics later. But yeah, I don't know. But at the same time, if you keep dropping these shitty looking photos all over the internet, maybe you just drop a high quality one so people know what the suit looks like.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it does look kind of weird. It looks very rubbery. I will say that. It looks like fucking Ross Geller's leather pants from Friends in that one episode. That's what it looks like.
See, and so for me, I said, if Keaton is still wearing the exact same suit that he wore in '89, it's shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that a superhero would wear the exact same suit for freaking, what, almost 40 years now?
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, well, if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. I'm like, no, like, you need to get with the times. That's why you have freaking costume changes of superheroes in almost every single freaking movie nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, it's just something that happens. And they're like, oh, well, you're not going to get the fans that really enjoy Keaton unless he's wearing the exact same suit. And then I'm like, you're not a fan of Keaton then.
Yeah. The hell, he's Batman. Like, that's all you need. Like, you don't need a specific suit. But yeah, you would think that he would definitely change it up over time. And it does look different.
It does, yeah.
So, maybe that's just how they're going to play it off. And I don't know if they're going to make it look better in post or what the case is.
But I do think this is his newer suit. But I do think he is introduced in The Flash with his old suit. That gets ripped up or destroyed or whatever, and then he gets this newer suit.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. Yeah, because the chest plate does look really weird. It looks like the bicep parts disconnect from the thing, and that's what gives the shoulder pads looking. But you know what? I'm pretty sure once we see a trailer, it's gonna look fire. Because we did actually get a DC Heroes trailer this week that was pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
This was the DC Heroes sizzle reel for 2022. So this was teased by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson the day before the Super Bowl, or like even like 2 days before the Super Bowl, because we knew nothing was going to drop on the Super Bowl. They had already,
it's too expensive.
Way too expensive.
Marvel don't give a shit though.
Marvel was already going to drop stuff. The freaking Jurassic Park was going to drop stuff. It was going to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
So 2 days before Super Bowl, The Rock was like, hey, we're going to show you a 1 minute trailer or a 1 minute tease of Black Adam. And it actually ended up being an entire tease of the 2022 slate. Yeah. And it was fucking fire. I saw your reaction to it.
Yeah.
It is great. I think that WB and DC need to do this every fucking year.
With the amount of movies that are coming out, yeah. And the funny thing is Batgirl could still pop in here, which is interesting. We don't know yet if they are going to push it to an end of 2022 release. We don't know. But yeah, for the most part, those are all theatrical releases that are going to be coming out, which is insane to think. What's next after the Batman?
So after the Batman would be, I believe, Black Adam in the summer, and then it will be the Flash,
and then Aquaman.
I think in between Black Adam and the Flash is the DC Super Pets, I think.
Yeah.
And then it would be somewhere in that realm, Batgirl, because people are still thinking that it's going to drop in 2022. I think so also. And then Aquaman at the end of the year in December.
Yeah, that would be pretty insane. But it hyped me up, man, because seeing the Justice Society in freaking Black Adam,
that fucking Hawkman, dude, holy shit,
that was all. Well, just seeing is it Adam or Adam Smasher?
Adam Smasher.
Yeah, Adam Smasher running through the buildings, like that looked insane.
Yeah.
I'm just excited, man.
Do you know what's
Dr. Fate?
Do you know what's fucking crazy about Dr. Fate?
What's up?
None of that is real.
What do you mean?
It's all mocap.
Oh, you mean this like CGI and stuff?
Yes, the suit,
makes sense.
The suit and helmet.
Yeah, that makes sense. It looks clean as hell, though.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so I'm excited by that. That looked awesome. The Flash getting ready to run looked amazing. When his visors came down, I was like, oh shit.
See, I will admit I don't like the visor.
Okay.
I don't like the shields.
Okay.
Now, the slickness of his helmet, I like the shininess and the slickness to it. I thought that was really cool. We got a little bit of a closer look to like the embroidered like look to the suit, the way, just the grooves and stuff.
Yeah.
I really hope, because recently a lot of superhero movies have like been really bad at this, but I really hope that scene in particular is not like the last 5 minutes of the movie, like the last scene. Like I feel like it's gonna be like, oh, Barry's about to go into the Speed Force to fix everything, and like I don't want it to be that, because then it's like the last shot of the movie should be in the fucking theater, not in a trailer.
I agree. Doomsday. You don't show Doomsday.
Exactly.
So I'll always go back to that. Although I don't think that is as big as a Doomsday moment, to be honest.
Yeah.
It would be like we're showing Reverse Flash. You're just like, oh, come on. You didn't need to show that. You know what I mean? That would be the thing. I love that Michael Keaton was saying, like, so you have the ability to travel through time, and you chose whatever. Like, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
To see what that was going to happen.
Not showing him, just using his voice.
Yeah. So, pretty solid. And then, dude, just seeing, like, the way Black Adam's looking. The only thing that irked me about that trailer is it was fire, but the Batman isn't a part of that fucking universe. Pisses me off so much, dude. It's so dumb. Like, it's the only thing that pisses me off. And so this is the one time that I'm hoping Ezra Miller's zaniness and craziness, which, by the way, I don't think we ever cleared this up because we talked about it on the podcast. He was saying, like, fuck white people or whatever the hell he said. What did he say? Fuck, like, fascists or some shit?
Yeah, he was... no, we did talk about it. We talked about it.
I don't think we cleared it up, though.
Oh, we didn't clear it up. No.
Yeah.
It was the fact that, like...
a friend of his got hurt or something? Or
Yeah. Like, friends of his, or, like, family friends or whatever, were being harassed by KKK members.
Yeah. So that was what his rant is, just to explain it. He wasn't just going off on a crazy zaniness. Although he still did push that girl down a long time ago.
Yeah.
Which, that just never got resolved. But just the one time I do hope that his zaniness comes out with this whole, like, last time ha 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 thing, meaning that maybe Affleck is going to come back. He looked pretty great with J-Lo at the fucking Super Bowl. So
yeah, but I will say this: there was a teaser trailer for the Ben Affleck Ana de oh shit, what's her last name?
Ana de Armas.
There's a Hulu series or movie that is coming out, like, while they were, like, dating and stuff.
Yeah,
it got some weird vibes. It's got weird vibes.
She's getting a lot of roles lately.
Yeah, she is.
She's going to be in an N17 Marilyn Monroe movie. I'm waiting for that. Drop me that, Netflix. But I think, had he not backed out of the Batman, she's Catwoman instantly.
Yeah.
I think she's Catwoman. Easy. She might still be Catwoman if they do Gotham City Sirens. Which I'll be very... What has Margot Robbie been up to?
Nothing. Well, I think she's working on a Barbie movie.
Oh.
Like a live action Barbie movie, I'm pretty sure.
Interesting. Who's Ken? They announced that, didn't they?
Ken, isn't it Ryan Gosling?
No.
I'm pretty sure.
That would actually be perfect, though.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I don't know who they're going with. I know that John Cena is going to be in a Wile E. Coyote movie.
That was just announced.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
why?
Random. But, whatever. John Cena's pretty
It
popular.
It is Ryan Gosling.
Is it?
Yep.
Of course it is. That'll be interesting to see what's going to happen there. But, yeah, I just haven't seen her do anything. I want to know when she's going to come back. And do you think she makes... And we're going to talk about cameos later... But do you think she makes a cameo in any of James Gunn's movies in the future? Or not movies, but, like, shows?
Catwoman? Or
no,
Harley?
No. Harley.
I
wonder if James Gunn would get a Harley show.
But see, does a Harley show happen with the Harley Quinn animated show happening at the same time?
Ooh. I mean, the boys are doing a shitload of stuff at Amazon.
Yeah, well, that's a spin-off though. It's not like it's like a completely separate thing. It's actually in the same universe but just animated.
Yeah.
Like that's the difference,
But
right?
I mean, the Harley Quinn show is just its own thing, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like you could do a big show, and because the animated show is going to take way longer to make than the fucking thing. And, you know, depending on how well it does, is HBO going to keep that around? That's the one thing that worries me. Because
I
I feel like they care more about live action stuff than they do animated stuff.
I would say Harley Quinn the animated series probably has another 2 seasons outside of this one.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is like even and I think it was probably because of the poor reception, but like that Aquaman animated show legit only had 3 episodes.
Really?
But they were all like I think it was legit like 45 minutes long for each
Oh,
episode.
damn.
And they were just like, "Yep, this is it. Like this is going to be the only thing. There you go." But
It was kind of weird, though. I didn't watch it.
it
I
had
completely forgot about it.
it had that same animation as like Adventure Time
Yeah.
and all of that, which I mean, animators have found a way to like really be like, "Hey, this style is in and it's the best thing because it's super cheap."
Yeah, it's like one of the easiest styles to make or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
And the next step above that is the style of freaking Rick and Morty because they have that animation. A Star Trek show has that animation. There's another show that has that kind of animation. It's just the way people do things nowadays. They're
yeah.
just like, hey, this has gotten a lot of traction. People are enjoying it. Let's do the same thing, but with our properties.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Harley Quinn only has about 2 seasons left, and if that's the case, like after the finale of Peacemaker, which we will talk about, I think Gunn is in DC for the long run.
Oh, yeah, dude. I could easily see Peacemaker get 2 or 3 more seasons easy.
Yeah.
So it could easily go to like season 5 and end.
I was just about to say, I think you see a max of 5 seasons.
Yeah. I could see it ending at 3. It just depends on how busy John Cena gets, to be honest. Because the ending opened up a lot, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. But before we move on to the Peacemaker review, we did get a new announcement for another Batman comic book. Although I will say the premise of this has me intrigued. So you have the creator and artist pulled up, right?
Yes, it is.
Or I should say writer.
Yes. It says DC Comics has announced writer Gary Whitta, who wrote Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and artist Derek Robertson, who is the artist of The Boys, will reteam for the Batman Fortress, an 8-issue series that will see the Dark Knight contend with an alien invasion after Superman disappears.
Yeah, that's very intriguing to me. Not having your ace in the hole to defend the planet.
So the really cool thing about this though is depending on how things go about and like people call it hyper time in DC Comics, it is literally the time between the panels is what people call hyper time in DC Comics. And it's a real easy way to explain away like, oh, they said this happened. Well, when did that happen? And they're like, oh, well, it happened, between this and this. And I feel like Batman Fortress could technically still be canon because right now, Clark Kent Superman is not on planet Earth.
Yeah.
So because of that, yes, you could say John Kent is still on Earth, but it really depends on how they're wanting to play around with the story.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. If it is, like, does John exist in this iteration?
So, like, same thing as you. This is very, very interesting to see, like, how it will play about because, like, yes, Superman's gone, but technically you still have Martian Manhunter. You still have Supergirl, Wonder Woman. Like, you still have all these big hitters. why
Gotham
is it
Girl.
so important that Superman is gone? You know?
Yeah.
So I'm interested in that. But again, another Batman book. It's like,
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, why can't you, like... I mean, would it be as interesting, though, if Superman had a book without, like, an invasion without Batman? You know what I mean?
You,
It wouldn't be the same.
you know, not really. But in the same vein, you could be like, oh, an alien invasion, and the only person that could stop it is Blue Beetle.
Uh,
Or the only person that can stop it is the Flash. And you're like, how the
yeah.
fuck is the Flash gonna fight aliens? Well, he's
Yeah.
gonna show you. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting. And I think, again, that's probably why Batman comic books are so appealing, is because you can put him in a bunch of situations that would be believable.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, Superman could stop a riot and no problem. You know what I mean? But Batman's like, oh, fuck. Like, goddamn, I gotta fight all these bitches. Which I'm still waiting. Where is that one book from What's-His-Face? The with that, the one where everything got burnt out, Blackout, or whatever the fuck it was called. Where the whole city went dark?
Dark Knight, Darkest Night, or whatever.
Yeah, some shit like that. Where's that book at?
I have no clue. We actually can see some books.
I have
in
not
advance.
seen it in our next, like, coming weeks.
Really?
Although I already read Tom King's next book, which I can't say anything about it, but I've read it. So, interesting.
Oh, wait, what week is it on? Is it
the Tom King book?
Yeah.
The 1st of March. That first week, I think. I already read it. I was like, oh, because I wanted to see if we already got the next Batcat. So I was like looking for the next Batcat, and I saw that. I was like, okay, fuck it, let me just read that.
You would, you freaking would jump right into that. Holy crap!
Yeah,
we
not?
Definitely cannot talk about that. That's already like almost 2 weeks, 3 weeks ahead. So yeah, can't do that.
Nope. But yeah, so another Batman book that we'll definitely be covering unless the first issue sucks, and then, we'll just tell you it sucks, and then we won't cover it. Which we're dealing with one of those books right now that is, I think, on the line.
Yes, it is.
But we're going to dive into first, Peacekeeper news. Season 2, ladies and gentlemen, is a go. So we will be getting Season 2 of Peacemaker, which is pretty awesome, especially after seeing this season finale. But... interesting in this review because I told Clay, like, wow, that ending. And Clay was like, I was kind of bored. And I was just like, what? So, Clay, you open up why this episode bored you, and I'll tell you why it didn't bore me.
So, what I'm really getting at when I say it was kind of boring is this is James Gunn we're talking about. Yeah. If you have seen any of his movies, outside of Marvel, outside of Guardians of the Galaxy, his third acts are fucking off the fucking wall. For instance, go fucking watch Super. That fucking third act.
Super is one of his best movies.
It is a crazy fucking third act. Now, there's some shit that happens in here like you're like, oh shit. But for me, I think my expectations for how crazy this could have been were a little too high because there was a lot of low points for me here. It was just like, okay, let's move on. What's going to fucking happen? And I think James Gunn wanted to play this safe, to be honest. I think this was hey, let's make this, even though, let's be completely fucking honest. The world made him public enemy number 1.
Yeah.
And WB and DC said, come hither, we'll give you money. And he was like, okay, fine. Everybody hates me. You don't. You're giving me a job. You know, I'm your main man. Which DC and WB were like, hey, we will probably give you a lot more stuff to work on, but we just want a season 1 and see how it goes.
Yeah.
So they were already probably planning for a season 2.
Yeah.
But just in case, in this, like, the way this season is. Oh, go ahead.
He wrote this all during COVID because of COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, who fucking knows how things are going to go during COVID. So if you watch this season from the first episode to the eighth episode, it could easily be a limited series, like
Yeah.
a one and done. You get your problem or whatever in the very beginning, which is a spinoff of the Suicide Squad. And then you get this ending, and you're like, okay, that was one chapter of this much broader universe. Let's move on to the next thing. That's easily what it could have been. But
Yeah.
because it got a season two, we now know that there's much more to the story. So, as a standalone story, it is satisfying. It is okay, that is one full story. I enjoyed it. But like I said, I think some of my expectations to how crazy this could have been kind of went a little high. And
Okay.
there was something that.
Were you expecting Blue Beetle?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I was expecting maybe a reference to more than just these butterflies.
Yeah.
Because the Goth, the butterfly that Peacemaker was handling or whatever, they were talking about how, the reasons why they're doing the things that they do. And I thought, oh, maybe it's for the reasons of, another alien species was taking over or whatever,
Yeah.
before I got the full explanation.
Yeah.
And so I kind of was like hoping for something, but I wasn't like, oh, we are definitely getting this right now and it's going to be fucking awesome. No,
Yeah.
I had my expectations for that, for cameos, for everything else really low. And the reason why is go fucking watch freaking Star Wars and the Marvel stuff at Disney Plus. There was heavy rumors for all sorts of cameos, and they did not pan out. So I've been keeping all of my expectations really low for finales recently, and I think I had just dialed it down a little too low. But I mean, overall, great ending to this season one. I think you are right. I think it does open up a lot. And it it had a very surprising cameo appearance that I will say, thankfully, I woke up and I said to myself, I was like, I'm gonna need to record today. Shit, I need to watch Peacemaker. So before I even looked at freaking Twitter or anything, at 7 o'clock in the morning, I just got onto my computer. I actually was able to connect these two giant fucking speakers to my PlayStation and just watch Peacemaker with those. It was absolutely fucking amazing. And yeah, the cameo was not spoiled because holy fuck,
it was trending today.
People are fucking hyped. People are angry. People are like, it's been talked about all day.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit, but let me give my perspective on the episode. So, this episode started off, I woke up pretty early today on like 5 hours of sleep, and I was like, let me just watch this in bed while I'm chilling. And I started watching it, and the moment I knew this episode, I was going to like this episode, is the way it started.
I fucking knew it.
I loved it. I fucking loved it. So Adebayo is trying to talk to Peacemaker and Vigilante, and she's like, I just want to say... And look, guys, like I fucking loved it. They're like, I could not stop laughing. I was like, this is my humor.
Dude, I legit thought that was going to be the end credit scene, and that they were just gonna go on fucking forever. Yeah, I was like, oh god, oh god,
it was so good. So like, I was absolutely loved it. I was like, yes, that is exactly what they should do. Because fuck her. Like, she was pissing me off in this episode for a hot minute. I was like, you gotta be kidding me with your decisions right now. And so like everything was going on, like they have that happening. We get out to the, the barn and all that. We already know that they're trying to teleport this fucking cow to the next, where they, in Maine is where their other thing was apparently. And I'm not gonna lie, man, like I really enjoyed the like final action scene of like, all right, we're gonna all have to go in there guns blazing. Adebayo and I always forget Homeboy's name.
Economos?
Yeah, Economos. y'all have to stay back in case anything happens. They're like, we can help. They're like, no, you can't. And dude, at one moment, because like everybody starts fighting, Harcourt's all like, Peacemaker, go in there and kill like the cow. Before this, they try to use Eagly to get the damn helmet to drop on top of the barn so they can use the supersonic boom. And of course, Eagly just fucking throws it. I mean, they're like, I told you an eagle couldn't fucking listen to you. And then they're like, well, I saw him hug him. I thought they knew. And then there's like this little moment, which is probably what you assume was the low point, I guess, was when they're searching for the helmet, which I think, yeah, they could have done without that, but I think that was used so Peacemaker could have that hallucination and Harcourt could kind of see it. But then we go into the whole action scene where they're killing all of these freaking, we're killing all these butterflies, and that's when, at this point, Economos had to go undercover, and it was like, fuck this, it's another kaiju. Like, I'm not dealing with another kaiju.
Dude, his PTSD was fucking like, oh god.
Yeah. And, dude, because we heard the rumor that it was going to be an emotional ending, right? So I was thinking about that the whole time. I was like, who's going to die? Like, somebody has to die. And then when the butterflies were asking him, like, hey, why does your guy have his beard like that? And he tells the whole truth of why he does it. And he was all like, because this guy's never had a girlfriend before. And he's like, he works a job, gets paid like shit. And he thought nobody would ever notice until somebody just came around and told him how stupid it looked. And like, you just see Peacemaker, like,
his face
wanting to
is
cry.
like, oh fuck.
Yeah, dude, like, I was like, this is what Gunn does. Like, Gunn can take the stupidest characters and make you emotionally attached to them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, god damn, that was good. And then he's walking back, and then of course the prisoner dude's like, hey, that guy left us here. That's when they all start chasing him. I thought he was gonna get zombie attacked and die.
No, dude, I legit thought that they were not even like, because like they start to chase him, which I thought was really weird. But before they started to chase him, I thought they were just gonna gun him down. And I was like, oh fuck, like not Economos. And then of course they do the activate freaking sonic boom that like knocks everybody back, and that's essentially what starts the fucking firefight. And fucking Peacemaker having his own fucking shield. Holy
so Captain America, dude.
It is.
So
and of course he's supposed to be like a douchey Captain America.
Yeah.
But dude, at one point he fucking throws his shield and it like starts to flip, and right when it gets in front of one of these butterfly infested humans, he shoots the shield and it fucking goes into this dude's forehead.
Yeah.
It is
fucking
awesome. Wild.
Yeah, so so at that point it's like Peacemaker has to run and go kill the cow, but we see Harcourt and Vigilante get gunned down, and I was just like, no.
So Vigilante gets shot, and he like starts to like he like winces, and he starts to like touch his back or whatever.
Yeah,
and then he fucking falls. No, there's no like freaking comedic moment or anything. He just fucking falls, and I'm like, oh fuck.
I thought he was paralyzed. So
that happened. The one thing that probably would have hit me so much more is the fact that like when Harcourt started to get like gunned down or whatever, this comes back to the conversation we've had earlier. If people don't want to get spoiled from a different movie, skip ahead about 15 seconds. I'll go ahead and say it now. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Harcourt is going to be showing up in Black Adam.
Yeah.
The actor who plays Economos accidentally kind of let that slip when he was doing an interview.
Are they both in it?
No, he said he doesn't know what his future is for movies or TV shows, but you know,
he's in season 2 now.
He's in season 2. It's already been announced that he's in season 2, but that Harcourt is going to be in that movie. So with that knowledge, I was like, well, I know she's going to survive, so, you know.
Well, I was wondering if it was going to be a misdirect.
Yeah.
You know, because James Gunn, he'll squash a lot of shit, but I feel like he'll let some things out there, so you're like, I got you. You know what I mean? But I was like, oh, is it going to be as in WWE terms or wrestling terms, was I going to get worked? Yeah. And think that, you know, she was going to survive. But I genuinely thought she could have died there, which would have been very emotional. And James Gunn saying that it would have been an emotional ending, like he kills off his girl, like yeah, that would be an emotional ending. But I thought that was pretty interesting. She almost became. I didn't really understand this part. They were gonna have a butterfly was gonna take over her body, but I was like, "You're about to die anyways. Are you just trying to kill her? Like, why? Are you, I didn't understand why the butterfly was trying to go into her mouth." But then that's when we see John Wick out of bio come out of nowhere.
Dude, she fucking. So this I can't let pass because
yeah, I get you.
The fact, like, I understand, like, somebody getting like really like worked up and then doing something badass just on the fact of like adrenaline and shit.
Yeah.
But this looks like she's fucking had training since birth, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, calm the fuck down.
Her being Amanda Waller's daughter, she could probably be like a secret agent we don't know about.
True, but like the way she's been acting for 7 whole like freaking episodes, and then this happens, I'm like, fucking what?
But I love the contrast of, yes, it didn't make sense that she did that, but then Economos is like, fuck, and he trips and breaks his leg.
Dude, and like it doesn't hit him like all at once. He's like, what the fuck was that? And then you look down at his leg and it's all fucking in half.
Yeah, it's like the bone's out from just tripping. This is a guy that killed a gorilla, killed other people, tripped over a fence and broke his leg. Like, perfect, so dude. Good. He crawls all the way to Adebayo with the fucking helmet.
To give her
the torpedo helmet.
The fucking human torpedo or I forgot what the activation code is. Dude, the fact that they fucking did the anti-gravity fucking joke, I was like,
yeah. Of course.
But dude, I was not fucking expecting. So she gets all the way down there. She puts on this helmet and she's like, activate torpedo mode or whatever. And I'm like, oh shit, she's gonna fucking blow a fucking hole through fucking Goff right now. Completely misses and just fucking smashes into the fucking wall.
Yeah.
And dude, it's one of those moments where, like, again, I think this is just like episode 1 or episode 2 where I was like, this isn't fucking funny. This isn't fucking funny. And then like something happens, you're like, fuck, that was funny. Like this was one of those moments because it had kind of that like ding sound and then she just fucking falls to the ground. I was like, oh shit. And we get the explanation of it. Peacemaker's like, you don't want to use this helmet. You know, you're going to be hitting, you know, whatever you're going to be hitting at like so fast a speed that you're going to break every fucking bone in your body. So unless you want to commit suicide, don't fucking use it. And so when she's using it, I was like, oh fuck, what's going to happen? So that happens. We get a conversation between Peacemaker and Goff, which I was like, you manipulative piece of shit. Like she's like starting to like be like, oh, you know, we've, you know, you were talking about this, that, and the other. You know, it's really getting at his core about because she says, oh, we made a vow, and it, you know, boom, flashbacks to his vow on like peace and everything, which I really did enjoy. There was like a split moment, dude, where I was like, oh fuck,
he was gonna save them.
He's gonna save them.
Yeah, same.
But I did like the immediate like freaking switch was just fucking activate just torpedo mode and the IO just comes out of fucking nowhere right through the fucking cow.
Yeah.
And dude, I'm sorry. One thing that always gets into my head whenever like, and I think it's more so because of the more like horrific alien sci-fi movies.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I think of like alien blood and guts and shit, I think it's going to like hurt the human body. Yeah. But like as soon as she went through this fucking cow, I'm like, is she fucking dead? Like what the fuck was that? But Peacemaker kills Goff and that creepy fucking police dude. And Abadiah's just like, okay, what the fuck was that, man? Like that was fucking disgusting. They get out. And the team, dude, fucking Vigilante just comes out of the fucking corner of whatever. He's like, hey guys.
Which I'm glad he didn't die, man, because they need him in season 2, in my opinion.
They do. They honestly do.
But I want to see in season 2, though, I want to see him really like fight for the best friend role because he thinks Peacemaker is his best friend. Mm-hmm. Peacemaker literally said Adebayo is his best friend after fucking Eagle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, Vigilante needs to fight for that spot.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, that was interesting. And then we go outside. We have Peacemaker picking up what I thought could have been a dead Harcourt. I didn't know at this point. I was like, okay, maybe they're gonna save her like Peacemaker got saved in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Everybody else is kind of fucked up. They're walking away, and this is when we get the biggest fucking reveal. Because
I actually have a quote from Gunn himself about this, but keep going.
Prior to this, we had Adebayo calling Amanda Waller saying, we know where the fucking cow is. We gotta kill it. We need somebody. Peacemaker's like, send in the fucking Justice League or some shit like that. And she's like, come on, do this. He's like, yes, ma'am, blah, blah, blah. So, she makes a call to, fucking Waller. And we're waiting for this. Well, when they're coming out at the very end, you see 4 silhouettes show up. One is flying. One has a shield and sword, one has a trident, and the other one looks like the Flash. And I was like, okay, it's just going to be a shitty silhouette kind of thing, whatever.
Dude,
no.
When they get close enough to fucking Aquaman, I'm like, that can't be fucking Jason Momoa. There's no fucking way. And then when you actually fucking see him, I'm like, what the fuck?
I was freaking out, dude. And then it's Ezra Miller as well. And I was like, bro.
And the fact that he's like, what does he say? He's like, I can't remember what Aquaman says. He's like, you need to cut that shit out with the fucking rumors. And Barry looks at him. He's like, but it's not a rumor. And Aquaman just looks at him. He's like, fuck you, Barry.
Yeah. I love that. That was cool.
So, real quick. This has every fucking Snyder cultist and a fucking, like, everybody's hating on this right now. So they're like, the disrespect for Cavill, how the fuck could they let Gunn do this? This is so shit. People are trying to say Gunn is racist for not including Cyborg. I'm like,
oh my god, really?
I'm like, do you not know that there's a black person in this show? Like, she just fucking killed the main thing that they were, like, the main objective. Like,
she's like legitimately the co-star of the show.
Exactly. So there's this person on Twitter who is a big advocate for Snyder. I follow him more so because he has a pretty big insight on DC Comics, and I've had conversations about it and with him about DC Comics and whatnot. But like, he can get a little overboard with the Snyder stuff sometimes. So he says, "This is wild. Zack had to fight to get Martian Manhunter into the Zack Snyder's Justice League, lost the fight to get John Stewart Green Lantern. Hell, he had to fight all the time during Zack Snyder's Justice League. Meanwhile, Gunn can write the Justice League into Peacemaker with no issues whatsoever." And this is the quote. So I don't know what this is. He just screenshotted this article. So whoever is doing this interview asks Gunn, so what was the conversation with DC like about bringing in the Justice League on the show? And Gunn said, I didn't have a conversation. I just wrote it and gave it to them in the script. I don't think they really realized what they agreed to until they saw what I had shot, which was the Justice League there. And then I think the full weight of it, and what that, it says, the full weight of it, and what does this mean for the DC universe? And all of that became a huge piece of conversation up to the very highest levels of Warner's. And to their credit, they let me get away with it.
Do you think he is secretly panning out the DCEU for them?
I don't know if he's panning out the DCEU. I just think that Warner and DC know his rep for like Marvel and the success that he's had before Marvel. And they're like, hey, you've had some controversy, but every single one of your movies has fucking, been successful. So why not?
mean, to Warner Brothers' credit, they have had their own controversies. So they would be very hypocritical not to be somebody that, would accept Gunn. You know what I mean? It's like the perfect match in heaven.
And like people are like, oh, why is this person getting fucking creative control? I'm like, you piece of shit. That's the whole reason why we were fighting for Zack Snyder's Justice League. So that everyone afterward can get creative control over their projects. Gunn doing what he's doing is exactly what we wanted. It's not just for Zack Snyder. It's for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what happens going forward, because rumors have it that the next Gunn project that is going to be a series is not going to be in the same genre of Peacemaker, so it's not going to be comedy, I don't think.
It's not going to be comedy. So I have a prediction.
That means it's not King Shark.
It's not King Shark. No. I have a prediction that is pretty fucking wild. Mm-hmm. And I'm crossing my fingers, but it probably will not happen. In the very first concept art of The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn, mm-hmm. Deathstroke was in that picture.
That would be fire.
I want in the same vein of the fucking Mandalorian, mm-hmm. give me a Deathstroke.
Deathstroke, that would be awesome. I also would not mind Gunn making a series with Will Smith.
So it's funny that you say that, because I believe Variety mm-hmm. Reporter recently interviewed Will Smith and was like, hey, do you think the Air Cut should be released? And he's like, oh yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was left on the chopping block. I think it's something that that a lot of people would really enjoy. And I liked both versions of the Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. So he's given compliments to James Gunn already.
Oh yeah. Why wouldn't he?
Exactly.
I mean, why wouldn't he still want to be in the DCEU? With The Rock there now, and like the success of everything's been going on.
Dude, if you give me Will Smith and Idris Elba in the same fucking movie, let's fucking go.
Well, the thing is, dude, I would love to see, not exactly like Tom King's story, but like the war of jokes and riddles of Deathstroke versus Deadshot.
I think you would, like, in kind of the same vein of what you got with Peacemaker and freaking Bloodsport.
Yeah.
I think you would have that kind of competition. Yeah. But I could totally see the competition against each other.
For sure. So one thing we didn't talk about that happened actually after the cameo is at the end of the series, everybody kind of goes their own separate way. Like the team's disbanded because that was essentially the goal of the mission, was to destroy the cow, and they did it. So the butterflies are essentially going to die. We do see Goff at the end eating the last bit of juice that there's there, but did they blow up the factory? Because I would assume there's still a bunch of jars throughout the whole world.
Well, freaking Peacemaker did throw that giant bomb, and it did fucking explode majority of that factory.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure because that's the thing. You got to think there's just going to be a bunch of people that die across the world.
Goff said that their other facility was in Maine.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that the butterflies may be a small part of next season.
It's possible. I was thinking when Goff was talking about how the world was good, like their world was ending, I thought it would have been Blue Beetle's people taking over that world for a second. Yeah, I genuinely thought that was going to happen, but unfortunately it did not. I will say, though, at the end of this, Adebayo comes out and does a press conference and puts everything out there. She eventually, destroys all of them.
She fucking, just rats out fucking Amanda Waller. And Amanda Waller has fucking watched TV, and she's like, what the fuck?
You want to know what I wanted to happen at the end? So we know that Peacekeeper is going to still be dealing with his dad in the next season.
Yes.
Which I like, because that means they're going to keep him around. That's a big part of him. He's going to have to get through that trauma, which I like. I wanted Adebayo, because the thing is, I love when series end on a note, because this could have easily, like you said, been a one-shot series and done. But I love when you build suspense for the next season. I would have loved Adebayo, after she did all of that, going in to hug her girlfriend, sniped through the window, death.
So there was a moment where there was a really long kiss scene between her and her girlfriend, or fiance, and I legit thought her fiance was going to die.
Yeah.
Totally thought it was going to happen.
I would love to see Amanda Waller versus her daughter. I think that would be a cool story to go after.
So I think that, because a lot of people have already said it, and I'm not necessarily sure if I'm leaning that way, but I could see it either next season or the next Suicide Squad movie or whatever James Gunn is planning may be the Suicide Squad versus Waller.
Interesting. I still think they build the juice. You need to have Gunn take over Justice League, and then maybe in a show series or something else, you have Justice League versus Suicide Squad. That would be box office, dude.
Yeah, it would.
With all of those names, like that would be insane. And then if you wanted
but who didn't show up in the cameo?
Batman.
Yeah.
He's busy, all right, Gotham, all right? All those other people can travel pretty fast, okay? Okay.
Well, no, like what I had said, what I had told friends of mine already is, when did this had completed by the time the shutdown for COVID had started?
Yeah.
Because that was Gunn's big thing. Oh, the movie's done. We're just editing.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was for the Suicide Squad, not necessarily Peacemaker. That changes things.
Well, I mean, both Flash and whatchamacallit were filming at the same time.
Yes.
So they could have easily done the cameo together in a studio. But although I think they're singly shot, so I don't think they're talking to each other in the same place.
Yeah, no, because of the way that they cut.
They just did the Zack Snyder thing at the end of the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And you easily just edit out the background, do all that bullshit, make it look fresh, and all that shit was CGI'd anyways. So but yeah, it was pretty crazy, man. Like that cameo, I was not expecting that. I was expecting Blue Beetle, if anything. I was not like maybe one member I could have saw, but 4 members of the Justice League.
4 members of the Justice League, only 2 cameos, technically.
Yeah. But still, because people would freak out if it was a Batman cameo, like just a shadow. Like, you know what I mean? They would be like, "Oh my god!"
And that's the fucking thing about Batman, right? So because for me, I would have fucking fought tooth and if I was Gunn, I would have fought tooth and nail for Batman. Why? Yeah. Because of that fucking conversation between Peacemaker and his fucking neighbor.
Yeah.
You just have it there. And one thing that I didn't notice, because again, these cult people on Twitter are fucking crazy. And they're like, oh, look, Gunn made fun of Titans at one time, and how ironic this is because of how cringy he is. And apparently he was making fun of the fuck Batman thing on Titans.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm like, how fucking hilarious would it have been if you just see fucking Peacemaker walking with Harcourt and just look at Batman and say, fuck you, Batman.
Yeah.
Like,
it would have worked in James Gunn's realm.
Exactly. You just, I would have fought tooth and nail for it, especially after knowing what you already had in the previous episodes.
Yeah. If he could pull that off in season 2, if some crazy shit's going down and you have Batman just in the shadows, he's like, Peacemaker. And he's like, oh, fuck you. You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool. But I still think you need to get a solidified Batman. You just need to get somebody to be Batman.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's what I enjoyed Peacemaker. I'm excited for season 2. I'm assuming we're not going to get that for a while, though.
It really depends on how fast. Well, again, because the Discovery Warner Brothers merger is being finalized as we speak. It is said to be it is said to be done by the earliest of April.
Yeah.
So I don't know how quickly the power gets taken from the people who made the decisions to get the green light for season 2. But I would work on that as fast as possible.
Yeah, for sure. But I would want to see what the next James Gunn thing is, to be honest. And I feel like he's going to shoot that before he shoots Peacemaker 2,
That's true, yeah.
We'll see. We'll probably get both of those shows before we get the Gotham show. So,
Which is fucking wild.
Yeah. I mean, let's not forget Green Lantern Corps was greenlit 5 years ago. And we still haven't even got a casting for that, I don't think.
We got Guy Gardner casted.
Yeah, that was it. Was it Guy Gardner or was it the Alan Scott?
Well, I think both of them.
Both of them?
But no one else.
I got a DC box sent to me today, and it was the graphic novel for Far Sector. So
Nice.
and I was like, damn,
nice.
I want to read that.
It's
It looks really good. It's by Jamal Campbell, I think, artist.
Yeah,
looks great. So I haven't got to read it, but it looks pretty fire. But let's move on to viewer questions, and holy crap, do we have a lot of them this week? So we're gonna try to get through all of these because a lot of y'all sent some stuff. First up, we have Ivan Jr. on the YouTube channel saying, "Great podcast as always. Quick question: when did you guys decide to make this podcast, and how did you guys come up with it?"
We have technically answered this, but for newer listeners, we can give this story again for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I've always wanted to start a podcast. Clay's been doing them since he was born. So he had the idea, like, I knew I could get him on the first episode. I've been talking to Clay for a while because he was working at the comic shop that I was buying my comics at. We would chat about comics every week. And then I told him, I was like, hey, I know your job probably sucks. Do you want to come work at mine? And he was like, sure, more money. Awesome. He worked at both for a little bit. And then, you were crazy.
Yeah. And then Juice was like, hey, by the way, I know I just recruited you, but I'm totally leaving this job. And I was like, what the
fuck? Which didn't happen for a while. But yeah, I was planning to.
Yeah.
But anyways, I ended up staying a little bit longer than I wanted to. But anyways, what started this podcast was I always wanted to do a podcast. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want to rather just talk about Batman in a 2-hour setting-ish, opposed to making a bunch of YouTube videos about Batman, which I was getting really annoyed about doing. A lot of people that maybe listen to this podcast know me from those days. But I just felt the reason why the podcast started was I read Tom King's issue, I think, was it 78 or something like that? No, maybe a little bit sooner than that, maybe in the 60s. I forget.
We always have this question for ourselves. Yeah. Let me look it up real quick.
But it's when Alfred died, essentially. When Bane snaps Alfred's neck, I was like, oh my God, I have so many thoughts about this. I want to talk about it. And the original concept of Batman News Weekly was going to be me covering everything. But I was like, you know what? I think I could have guests on every once in a while. Let me ask Clay if he wants to be on the
77.
first. 77. I was one off. I was like, let me ask Clay if he wants to be on this first episode because he already knows how to do podcasting stuff. So he'll know how the flow of podcasting works. So I was like, this should be awesome. So we do it. And then I think I do the next 2 weeks by myself. And then Clay's back on episode 4. I'm like, hey, do you just want to be the co-host? Like, you want to come back on? And he was like, sure, why not? I have a billion podcasts already, but sure, I can do another one. And that's essentially it. And we've been going strong ever since. We did the first... Did my panic attack happened before 100 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
So, we did the first like 60 plus maybe easily every week. We didn't miss one. I'm pretty sure we were solid. Then I had my panic attack. Tried to get through it. Didn't work. Took like 3 weeks off. And we've been strong ever since pretty much.
Yeah.
So, that's essentially how the podcast started. Alfred died and I was like, we got to talk about this. And so again, if you're wondering why I'm a huge Tom King fan, but Tom King essentially had a fucking reason for me to start this podcast because like his comic was so crazy. I was like, I need to talk about this. I can't believe they did it. There's your answer for that. The last question that we have from YouTube, we have a bunch on Discord, was from Raphael. Raphael, we were talking about on the last podcast because he was mentioning some stuff about Batman and Catwoman. But he's asked, on this one, I'm very curious about this question because he says, what do you think Selina is wanting to tell Helena that she should supposedly already know? And he did write a paragraph that he said we didn't need to say out, but essentially was saying that there's 2 things that he thinks it is. One is that, Batman, what she should have known is Batman told her not to kill because she didn't want Helena to grow up without a mother because she would be in prison. That's his theory. It's not glamorous, but he thinks that's what it is. But he says that there are some theories online of people saying that there is possibly a relationship that would have happened between Selina and Joker, making Helena her Joker's daughter, which would be fucking awful. He doesn't like it either. He said that'd be a big no-no for King. If King does that, I will have the biggest fucking rant on this podcast ever.
I'm going to have to agree with both you and Raphael.
Yeah. It would be terrible.
It's icky. I don't know. It feels gross.
Yeah. And the only way I think would even be like, and you don't want to go down the sexual assault route. You just don't want to do that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like that's something Joker would do. Depending on how you want to view what happened in Killing Joke, that's up to you. But like I just don't think they would go down that route. And I think it was just a friendship. But to answer Raphael's question here, I felt like they answered that in issue 10, right? Like the idea of what she wanted to tell her was he's sane. Joker is sane, and that's why I had to kill him. Like you should have known this. Like, and your father should have known this, that he's sane. He's not crazy.
Yeah.
Which again, we can have that argument. I went off on it last week. We don't need to get back into that. Go listen to the last episode. But I feel like that unless there's something I missed, I'd have to go back and read all the issues.
It would be something that we both missed if that's the case. Because I came to the same conclusion, is the fact that, you know, because of the way King tells his stories, it's almost as if every single person in those scenes in every single time period is having kind of the same conversations. It's the classic trope of time repeats themselves. So I do think that Catwoman was telling Helena, like, Joker is crazy in not being crazy, and he's just doing the things that he does, so I had to end the chaos, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is, because it would be so weird if we are going to get, like, the wedding issue or whatever in the next issue to also have a reveal that Helena's Joker's daughter. Like, that would be so fucking awful.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. Like, issue 11 is really the issue that, like, King likes to drop his bombs, you know?
Yeah. But even if that was the story he was trying to tell, there's really no hints of it throughout the whole series, I don't think. They're just there really friends. Isn't. They're not like, he didn't try to kiss her or do any of that. If anything, you can make a bigger argument. He even made the joke in this issue 10, that he would fuck Batman better. He's probably more into Batman than he is into Catwoman. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. The people that, I could understand why people are saying that, because I was hoping that it wasn't going to happen. When I was reading the issue, I was like, what is this big secret? Do not say it's something like I had a relationship with the Joker or I dated him or blah, blah, blah. Because then that just goes on to mess with all the Harley bullshit and all of that. Like, you can get into a whole nother thing. But I just did not want that to happen. And I think it was just the same thing. And I was just like, okay, I think that's just what the big issue was. But we'll find out sometime in March when issue 11 comes out. I just don't think there's some big thing that she's supposed to know. I think it's just going to get into this whole, like, you and your father don't really understand me kind of conversation, and y'all both owe me your lives, essentially. And I think she's just being very, like, entitled right now, Catwoman. And she has the right to be. But, I mean, she's had the hardest life out of all of them, I think, to be honest.
Yeah.
And, yeah, Helena could easily... She's playing the moral high ground, but she didn't have to really suffer through anything like her parents did. So I think that's just kind of what where Selina's coming from. And also, I think you fuck up that annual if you were to do the whole Joker thing. You know? That whole her growing up with Helena and then giving away all the fortune to the orphanage and cats and shit, all to make it her daughter. Like, and do you think Bruce would raise the Joker's daughter? Like, morally, you could say he would, because he wouldn't want her to be the Joker, like another Joker. But I don't think that's fucking weird.
You get into a weird fucking conversation with that, because you can make the argument of, like, oh, the only reason why he wants to raise her is to, like, not only make sure that she becomes the Joker, but, like, is he, like, doing fucking tests on her to be like, is it genetic? Like, is she gonna be, like, no matter what, the Joker? Like, what's going on? You know,
but if he's saying that doesn't matter, right? It's just choice.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. So I hope that answers your question, Raphael. If it doesn't, explain, like, if you have references to whatever issues, I will definitely go back and look. I have no problem doing that. But I feel like it was kind of answered in 10, unless I'm missing something, which that's totally something that could happen. But now let's go on to all of our Discord questions, which we have so many. And Ethan said we already kind of talked about the Mr. Freeze one. He was asking if we were going to talk about that, which we did. He says, okay, who would win between Batman and Spider-Man? Like, have you had that conversation before? It's so tiring.
I mean, yes, it really doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds, because like nowadays those arguments, like in the end, they fight each other. They find out that they're both good guys, and they fight the bad guys. That's always
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
Like it's never like these freaking superpower beatdown YouTube videos that people watch. It's never like, hey, let's fucking fight until we kill each other. It's not
Yeah.
how it goes. And like and I don't want to get into the argument of, oh, with prep time, Batman can
Yeah.
like it's ridiculous. So I think that they would be confrontational until they found out that they were both good guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how everything would go. Same thing with the Superman versus Goku thing. Like, it's all that same shit. But I if I wanted to, I could have this argument. I'm tired of it. I have it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like, I'm done. As you can see if you go to our Discord sometimes, I'm just like over it. Let's see. He asked a few questions, so we're gonna move on to some other ones. I want to move on to Drew's question because this one's interesting. He says, from last week's podcast, you guys said that in issue 0, Jace Batman said 5 years without seeing Batman. Isn't that the Future State timeline, which didn't happen now because Molly stopped it? Future State Dark Knight Bruce was gone for 5 years, and he met Jace for the first time, and Jace told him to stop wearing the suit, and Bruce just stayed silent like a bitch. So out of character. But we need a modern first meeting now with Bruce giving his blessing or whatever.
So no. The first I Am Batman issue, when Jace is saying that, is during the Fear State whole tie-in stuff. Because in that same issue, they talk about Fear State, and they also talk about what was that person in the freaking sky, that the Seeker or whatever?
Oh yeah, what the fuck happened to that?
Who freaking knows? I think that the Batgirl's comic is still dealing with that stuff.
Yeah, so it's actually current continuity. If you want to say it's current continuity, because everything's continuity and everything's not continuity or whatever the fuck DC's doing nowadays.
Yeah.
But no, it is still in the same realm right now because Batman has left and there's another story that we're reading that has tied them all together. That's like, because even at the end of, it's at the end of, not Future State, but at the end of Fear State, which is the current timeline,
they were
jumps
all
from 117.
They were on the same roof. Yeah.
Yeah. All on the same roof, which didn't make any fucking sense because everybody would be like, who the fuck's that guy?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so, no, if you're reading the books linearly, 117 to 118, that's a continuation of a story. He's in that book. So it's not that Molly destroyed whatever.
They showed him more than once. So I think it was during the time where like Batman was like unconscious or like whatever, captured by Scarecrow or whatever.
Yeah.
When he finally escapes, he's talking to Oracle and an orphan, and they're like, okay, now we're gonna spread across Gotham and fight the good fight or whatever. You see a panel with Jace and he's Batman. And then you see him again when they're on that roof.
Yeah. And now they are still doing the Fear State storyline with Red Hood. And he was a part of that.
Yes.
So, or the Future State, I should say. So they're both happening at the same time. So Jace is in modern continuity right now. And now he's just in New York.
Yes.
Which is kind of dumb. But, it is what it is. So there is that one from Drew. Let's see. We got a bunch of other things. Kid Stu says, out of all of the confirmed upcoming DC projects...
You skipped one.
Did I skip one?
Yeah. I'm Charlie Bro says, what kind of scenes are you hoping that will happen in this movie? I'm assuming the Batman. And what kind are you hoping doesn't happen? This is an interesting question because I've never, I guess we have had those conversations of I hope, this doesn't be explained like this, but I don't think I've ever looked at it and been like, I really hope this doesn't happen,
I don't hope a Joker scene happens.
Oh well, yeah. I guess that is one that we've talked about.
Yeah,
I hope Joker doesn't happen in this movie
yeah.
because
I hope it doesn't happen in the trilogy.
yeah, that would be it would be ballsy. I don't think it's
Yeah,
gonna happen. I think there
yeah.
will be a Joker, but I
Oh,
hope
100%.
but I hope there is not a Joker in this movie.
Yeah. We'll find out in a couple weeks. Um, yeah. What I want to see is badass Catwoman and Batman stuff. That's just all I want to see. Them
Yeah.
fighting together in a badass way, which we'll probably get. So
I
I'm hoping
want
that happens.
I want to see a tease for other than Joker, other villains in this universe.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Um, but yeah, other than that, yeah, I just don't want to see Joker, and I don't need to see the Waynes die again. So
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
that's another one. Yeah.
that's something I don't need to see. Also, I don't need a training montage of him becoming Batman. I don't need that either. So, like, oh yeah, I spent 2 months of doing this and this and that and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Unless you're gonna use that to show a lot of cameos of like, oh yeah, he met with Zatanna, he met with so and so, he met with that, which I don't see that happening in this series. But yeah, that's kind of something I don't need to see. But yeah, going on from that though, Kid Stu does say, out of all the confirmed upcoming DC projects in TVs and movies, which project do you think will be the best, and which do you predict to be the worst? I mean, let's not count the Batman. I don't think the Batman counts. That's just like, it's not even in the universe. So I would say, out of anything else besides the Batman, what do you think is going to be the best and the worst? CW counts.
Out of all the confirmed upcoming DC, so the worst is I think gonna be Gotham Knights.
I'd agree. Yeah, the premise of it sounds terrible.
Either Gotham Knights or um, Justice U.
The fuck's that?
Oh, the actor that plays Diggle. He's gonna be.
Oh, that
He's
shit.
he's gonna be Professor Xavier and mentor metahumans undercover.
That's so weird. But he's a Green Lantern now, right?
No, he's not.
I thought he hit his van.
He refused the ring.
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, look at all this power. I'm gonna refuse it.
Yeah, he apparently refuses the ring because it's all told, not shown in the CW for that storyline. And apparently he refused the ring, but then after a while he wanted to try it, but like he wasn't able to open the box that it came in anymore. And so like he went on all these cameos on all of these shows to basically like it was said in like a press release or whatever that he was going to be encouraging new heroes, which would then motivate him to become a better hero himself and eventually become Green Lantern, which I don't believe whatsoever.
So lame, dude. Why are these premises so convoluted? Like, they need to do so much for these heroes to get their powers and shit. It makes no fucking sense to me. I think Gotham Knights is going to be the worst. Dude, you know what? I think The Flash has the chance to being the best or the worst at the same time.
I could see it.
Yeah. Because I think that The Rock's going to make money. So Black Adam's going to do fine even if the movie's not good. It's The Rock. He's going to do great. Mm-hmm. I think people love Momoa already, and they like the first Aquaman, so they're going to go see the second one. I don't think it's going to break $1 billion, but I do think it'll do well. I think the Batman's going to kill it, obviously.
Which also, the Batman has now officially have a China release 2 weeks after the release in America.
Interesting.
So, like, people immediately are now assuming this is a 100% billion-dollar movie.
Yeah, I mean, you can be with that, but I want to know if they've had to change anything because of it.
That would be interesting.
Because they will make any changes.
Yeah.
I mean, Marvel will too. Well, I don't know. Because DC's actually gotten some movies that haven't went over there, right? They're like, fuck you.
Yeah, no, they have not. And then also recently, Marvel had the Eternals, which had the gay romance scene. And
yeah.
And it was legit just like showing that two men were married and they kissed once.
Yeah.
And China
Do
was
they
like,
have
nope.
Is it only because it's two men? If it was two women, would they have done the same thing?
I don't know.
I'm always curious. I feel like everybody's like, it's two women, that's fine, that's cool, it's all good. But like when it comes to two men, it's always the issue. So it is what it is, I guess. So yeah, I think the Flash has the option to be both, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then the last one we got is from Young. He says, "What's the worst Batman comic of all time?"
Batman Odyssey.
Dude, that is pretty bad, right? Odyssey is fucking awful. But so is the sequels to Dark Knight Returns. The sequels are pretty fucking bad. Odyssey's bad though, dude.
All-Star
Odyssey's
Batman?
really bad.
Frank Miller's
like,
All-Star Batman?
No, All-Star Batman is not on the level of Odyssey or those other sequels. Like, as much as I do not like All-Star Batman, like it's not on the level. Not at all. Odyssey literally has like flying ape creature things, dinosaurs that they ride. It has a guy become super old and turn into a baby. It has Batman have a face shield that blocks his freaking face from being shot. Like, it has the most ridiculous shit. But Dark Knight Returns, whatever the fuck it's called, has a crazy Dick Grayson and a bunch of other political BS that's a bunch of jargon. And let's not even forget emo super baby things with...
with the big head.
Remember all that?
Shit. I forgot about that
Superman
one.
Wonder Woman baby.
Yeah.
Like, those were pretty fucking awful.
It was fucking wild.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to read the worst comics, just go read the sequels to The Dark Knight Returns or Batman Odyssey. Which sucks because both of those creators are arguably, like, they have their names etched into Batman history because they've both been really huge for Batman overall. But, yeah, those scenes were kind of crazy. Or those books were kind of crazy. Anyways, that is everything we have for viewer questions. Again, you guys can go check out our Discord where we do talk about all of the things during the week. Y'all guys can listen to the podcast, ask us questions in the Discord, or leave those questions on the YouTube channel. And if you are listening to this and got a YouTube channel, go subscribe to the channel. Helps out over on YouTube, Batman News Weekly. Search it up. It should be the first thing that pops up. But anyways, we're going to move on to the books of this week. And I think we should start off with The Knight because I think this book is on the chopping block to decide if we're going to continue covering it or not.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of this book? This is, for those of you that don't know, this is Chip Zdarsky, who I'm on the fence about writing Batman a lot of the times because he thinks Batman's ultimate dream is to kill the Joker. And at the same time, this is before he's Batman. This is him becoming Batman, but he's Bruce Wayne going around the world doing all this random shit. So, what were your thoughts on this?
This did not have my attention at all. It took me, I think, 3 days to finish it.
God damn.
Yeah. I started it and then I put it down and then I, picked it up again and I put it down and then I picked it up again and I put it down.
Yeah.
It's just not very... It's really sad because, maybe Descartes has something to do with it because even Tom Taylor's book that has Descartes was just eh.
I can feel that.
But I understand, he's somewhat of an important piece of Batman's history.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. We keep saying this. Daredevil was so fucking good. It is still so fucking good. And you can't write Batman.
Yeah. He can only do Red Batman.
Here's the thing, though. I wonder if DC was like, hey, we can't have you write a Batman story, but you can write a Bruce story.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that...
even then, even if you're writing a Bruce story, I still don't think he understands Batman. One of the things that irked me in this book is we essentially... I saw a comicbook.com article or something like that saying we find out why Bruce loves female criminals or femme fatales because early on in his life he was introduced to one and this is the chick. They're referencing this story.
Yeah.
And we essentially get an older Catwoman type character that Bruce is like learning from. He catches
What
her.
did she call? What did he call her? The Gray Shadow.
Gray Shadow. Yeah, it's Gray Ghost, man. You're fucking trying to make that happen. But yeah, the Gray Shadow. And she, he catches her when he's jumping through rooftops one time. She essentially beats the shit out of him. And then just like really just trips him up. He sees her the next day at a coffee shop. And she's all like, "Oh, you look different in the daytime or whatever," or some bullshit. And he's like, "Oh, wow, you're under arrest." And she's like, "Ha, okay. Go tell the police that you saw a woman of my stature stealing blah, 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 blah." And then she was like, "If you want to be a vigilante or whatever, you need to learn from the best." And this is when he has like his moral dilemma of like, "Oh, if I am going to be a vigilante, I'm going to break the law. I'm going to do this and that." And he has like this montage of him training with this Catwoman chick, essentially is what she is.
Yeah.
And it leads to him kissing her. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. You're a little young for my taste." But then she kind of like, "Oh man, if I could steal years and blah, blah, blah." So I'm like, is he going to bang this chick or what's going to happen? I was like, it would make sense for the character. Ducard shows up in here. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to come after this agency or whatever." He ends up capturing the Catwoman lady and pointing a gun at Bruce. And he's all like, "Oh, you got to stay there, Bruce Wayne," or whatever. That's essentially the whole book.
Yeah.
But the problem I fucking have with this is everybody knows he's fucking Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
That is my problem. Because if you go watch, as I say every time on this podcast, one of the greatest source materials of Batman, the animated series, they have a lot of flashbacks where he's using fake names. Mm-hmm. He's not using his real name when he's traveling through the world and training with all of these crazy people. Because if you go around like, "I'm Bruce Wayne, I'm Bruce Wayne," why are you learning to become a thief, Bruce Wayne? You have bajillions of dollars. Why are you learning to do this? Why are you learning to do that? It would not be that easy, or it would be that easy to connect the dots. Like, he's been throughout the whole world training, and now there's this crazy Batman person with Bruce Wayne also back in Gotham. Easy. And like, yeah, I just don't understand why everybody knows his fucking name. Like, just make up a fake name. It's not hard. John Smith. Everybody uses that.
I didn't really enjoy this at all.
Yeah. I am willing to read the next issue, and then that's it.
Yeah.
If the next issue sucks,
I think issue 3 will be our deciding factor.
Yeah. Because you know what? It could change. But I am getting the vibes that this is kind of like Tom Taylor's book, that I just don't really care about it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Chip Zdarsky does not sell me as a Batman writer. Can you imagine back in the day when it was early Tynion, we were like, "Oh, Chip Zdarsky might be able to be a good Batman writer." Like, which at the time too would have sounded way better than Williamson, because Williamson was doing shit on the Flash.
Yeah, it was.
So, by the way, we didn't jump into this, but you were talking about how I Am Batman's doing better than other comics right now?
Yes. I Am Batman is actually performing at about 40,000 to 47,000 units per month. That is more than The Flash. That's more than Wonder Woman. It is more than Justice League, but that's not saying much because it's Bendis. But like, it is actually up there.
Yeah.
Like, the threshold for like a good selling comic is about 45,000 units.
But do you think it's because it's Batman?
I think that has something to do with it. But honestly, as long as Ridley does it right, this new move to New York and kind of separating himself to create his own Batman may do some good for him.
Yeah.
And so I do think it will have some legs after this.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, that issue was better than the previous, so we'll see what happens. But it is sad that it's outbeating The Flash and Wonder Woman. I mean, Wonder Woman doesn't surprise me, but I figured The Flash would have a bigger audience. But is that book suck right now?
Which one?
The Flash?
No, it actually is really fucking good.
Oh, wow.
Which is
who's writing it?
Jeremy Adams. Adams, he has a history in TV and movies for writing. He's written most of the direct to Netflix / direct to DVD DC Lego movies. He's written some episodes of Supernatural. But he's actually been doing a really good job on The Flash.
Nice. Well, let's jump over to Detective because I'm not gonna lie to you, Clay. I already forgot what happened in this book.
So this one was really, again, unfortunately, I'm sorry if you guys can hear that fucking wind. It is crazy here. I don't know
Is
why.
it windy?
I don't know if it's windy over there where you're at, but here
Yeah.
it is super fucking windy. So we're basically getting the insides of Dr. Ware or whatever his real name is,
Mm.
that like he is starting to owe a lot of money because his freaking con is really on the downslide
Yeah.
with what him and Psycho Pirate are doing. And he goes and asks for money from the Penguin. We actually see that these like I forgot what these Joker wannabes, like I forgot what the gang is actually called.
Yeah. I
Um,
don't know.
the Party Crashers, I think, is what
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
called.
Such a weird name.
Yeah. They are actually in court in the very beginning of this. They actually make bail, and they're asking Ware for the money that he owes them because of the drug numb that he's selling and everything else. Like, it's kind of jumping all over the place. I think Tamaki is really trying to get loose ends
Yeah.
before whatever happens at the conclusion of this whole thing to finally happen. Um, because we are still not caught up to what like the main event is supposed to be. You know,
Yeah.
uh, we see Dick Grayson is going undercover as a doctor now. Like he is a janitor, then he just grabs a doctor's coat and he's able to go into like a room
Yeah.
and pretend to be a doctor. He finds the his hold is breaking sign that Huntress did with her blood
Yeah.
underneath her bed. They're trying to figure everything out. I will say there is one page here that is absolutely gorgeous, where it shows Nightwing grappling
Mm.
alongside the building. I love that splash page there. The Party Crashers actually find out where the underground hideout is for the Bat Family, and so
Yeah.
uh, they're having to deal with that while Nightwing actually finds out that Psycho Pirate is a part of this. And I don't know a whole lot about Psycho Pirate. I've said this
Hmm.
before. I know that he's big in like the crises or whatever, but apparently the powers that he's been showing here in Detective Comics are not his traditional powers.
Oh, really?
Apparently he's only like he was first introduced as like only being able to control emotions.
Yeah.
This, he is
Kind of.
more like actually controlling them in every aspect. Like his
Hmm.
word becomes truth in a weird
Mm.
way. But I wonder, because I haven't had a full grasp on like the beginning of Joshua Williamson's whole like Infinite Frontier or whatever. I kind of
Yeah.
jumped in right at Justice League Incarnate, so I have to go back. But I think Psycho Pirate was actually captured by Darkseid and like was upgraded.
Ah.
So I think that may be the reason why, but I'll have to go back and check it out. But of course, just like every freaking Detective Comics that we've seen recently, the better story is in the back half.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Not much happens in here. You know what I want to see? I just want to see in the Detective Comic story. I want when it all comes to an end. I want somebody to kill that imposter Harley. Like I hope they
Oh,
create her just so she dies.
well, like the thing is, like she throws in like, "Oh, where's my pudding? I want my pudding."
Yeah.
Actually, talking about pudding, and even like Mr. Freeze is like, she doesn't even look like Harley. And then
Yeah.
like one of the other psychos is like, "Really, pudding? What a fucking try hard!" Like
Yeah.
she is trying so hard to be Harley, and these people are just like, "Nah, not
Yeah.
cutting it. Sorry." So I thought that
Yeah.
was
But
really really funny.
the backstory is it gets more and more interesting, man. So the kid is at Arkham. We know this because he got caught by the cops in the last issue, and he's playing. I love how Clayface is just like his buddy, like they're just friends,
Yeah.
and they're playing cards. And somebody with Man Bat and Solomon Grundy just playing like goldfish or something, and an alarm goes out and a message comes over the intercom and saying like, you are free, you know, essentially you are free, my friends, like society cannot keep you here. And everybody's like, all right, we're getting out, kid, like let's go. And he's like, I have nowhere to go, so I'm gonna stay here. And he's like, all right, suit yourself. And everybody starts dipping out, which is crazy. And then I think we see, yeah, somebody just crashes through his card table, and it's Bane is just there, and he's
Well,
like,
before that, I really like when Clayface is trying to convince him to get out. He's like,
yeah,
I don't have anywhere to fucking go. Clayface is like, well, when you do, you come find me, man. You come find me,
yeah,
bro. Like, I'll take care of you. So
yeah,
I do like that relationship that he's found. But this person that's crashing through this table is a guard, and Bane is there, and he's like, oh, you're an interesting little kid. This is not a place for kids. I think you should come with me.
yeah,
And they start to leave or whatever, and he basically is telling this kid, hey, you need to go find yourself, and like, oh, you know, people have hurt you, well, now you can go hurt them. And he just fucking gives the kid a gun, and I'm like, Bane, what
yeah,
the fuck are you doing, man?
yeah. I was born in darkness, you know. So the kid is trying to like get out of the place. He's just walking through this crushed Arkham, and he has the chance to kill a guard, and he doesn't take it. And then a guard's like, "What the fuck?" And he takes the gun from him, throws him up against the wall. He's like, "What the hell are you trying to do?" He's like, "No, man, I'm just trying to get back to my cell." He's like, "Oh, so you were trying to attack me? I mean, it looks like you know, my backup's not going to get here in time. I might need to make a decision. And you know what? The world's not going to be sad if you're gone." And he is about to kill this kid with his own gun. And then Zaz comes out of nowhere and cuts his throat. And Zaz puts another marker on him because, you know, that's what he does when he kills somebody. And he's about to kill this kid too. And Bane's like, oh, no, Zaz. Like, you're going to go up against a kid with your weapon of choice. Like, that's not a fair fight. And the kid's like, thanks. He's like, now fight. And he's like, huh? And then the kid just gets his
fight
ass
him with
beat.
no weapon. And then
Yeah.
they fucking just like duke it out. This kid is like scratching and biting and like just honestly trying to fucking survive. And
Yeah.
then Bane just grabs Zaz and throws him. He's like, that's enough. He's like, you see, kid, like, you're not always going to have these, you know, you're always going to have to either, you know, fight for yourself or do whatever. He's like, but the best thing about this is you don't lose a fight just because you're down. You always have the chance to get up.
Yeah.
And we've said this before. I think it's really interesting that every fucking villain is like, ooh, a child that I can mold right now.
Yeah.
And in some aspects, you could see it being weird. But in reality, like, these guys know, I think these guys kind of know and want to manipulate the innocence of a child. So
Yeah.
it's like, yes, I'm going to tell you stuff that is going to help you be a better person, but being a better person for me. Like,
Yeah.
that's what that's all about. And it's going to, you know, create this person that is going to be in the system, quote unquote. And when he walks away, this kid walks away, he hides from the police officers that are coming into Arkham. You see him in the streets of Gotham. He's asking these people, he has the hooker, he has homeless people,
Yeah.
and he finally gets to this club. He's like, man, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, this bouncer or whatever. And all of a sudden there's this voice that's like, hey, why are people saying that you're asking for me? Who the fuck are you? He's like, oh shit, is that you? And again, they haven't told us this kid's name.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that? Is it somebody of importance? Do you think this redheaded kid is the same guy that got the shit beat out of him by Huntress?
It could be. The only similarity is the red hair.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were telling this backstory to make him a bigger villain in the future, that's pretty smart.
Yeah.
So, because he did kind of come out of nowhere, and it's just like, all right, who the fuck is this dude?
Yeah.
And this story is in the past because we know Jason Todd is there.
Mhm.
So we know Jason Todd's older now. So this kid's going to be older too in the future.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see, man. But yeah, this story is so good still. Like, again, they're giving us something that's in the Batman universe that is not necessarily about Batman. Like, these are, and unfortunately, I guess this is the only way these stories can work because I don't think we've gotten some other stories that are in the Batman universe that we don't even give a shit about. But then again, this one's also written well.
Yes.
So, some of those other ones like the Arkham Asylum, whatever shit that's out there,
Oh yeah, the World
that
of
one's fucking
Arkham or
weird.
whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then like Reptile, weren't a big fan of that. Drop that. But some of these other books, I'm just not like. I don't know. Maybe you do have to, but I haven't even read Batgirls, and that was in the back of a billion books.
Yeah.
But it just didn't read well, and it was like all over the place.
Well, it was all over the place. There's already like complications on how they're portraying the characters because like they like de-aged them also. So like
Yeah,
they're trying to relate to like a much younger audience. And
yeah,
I'm like, you can't just retcon their age like that immediately after like a big event like Fear State and all of this other stuff that they are heavily into.
yeah,
Like it just looks and sounds weird when these kids are talking the way that they do, you know?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is too is Stephanie doesn't look younger in Detective.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but they were like, "Hey, Bendis did it," so maybe that's what they're kind of going with. So, anyways, moving on to the final book we have of the week. I'm assuming you love this book.
I absolutely love this book.
Yeah, so go for it. I thought it was cool. I like the stuff that happened in it, especially the first few pages. I thought that was pretty fire.
I think the first few pages is what I love most about this book.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons. But we see in the very beginning of this is Nightwing issue 89 for those listening. We see that there is a flashback with Batman and Nightwing, and I really love this choice because of Infinite Frontier, continuity and non-continuity, whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Taylor has chosen that the red suit is now canon in his run.
Mm-hmm.
And so he sees that there is a time that there is a Nightwing in a red suit teaming up with Batman, and they're looking for Jonathan Kent, as a kid, as Superboy. Again, this would be around the time of Hyper Time, because in the Peter Tomasi run of Action Comics was when Superboy was learning about his powers. This is happening sometime between those panels. And Batman and Nightwing find him, get blasted by fucking heat vision. They have to dodge or whatever. And Batman's like, why would he do that? And Nightwing's like, because a fucking giant bat dude is running after him. And so he takes off their masks or whatever. He's like, hey, we work with your dad. Like, just chill out. Everything's going to be okay. You see Batman call Superman. He fucking flies over, gives John a huge hug. You see Batman call on his intercom for like basically everybody in the DC universe to like, hey, we found him. The search can stop. And this is basically, we learn that John was having a hard time controlling his flying, and he crashed into this cavern, basically. And it actually goes back into the present. Right now, people might be confused if you're just reading Nightwing as of what's going on right here. Right now, in the Superman book, there was an incident with a very large sea creature that was heading towards Metropolis. And right now, Lex Luthor is teaming up with one of the main villains, newer villains that Tom Taylor has created for John Kent's Superman. And they basically made their own superhuman team. And that they were going to protect Metropolis. Things got complicated. People got hurt. People got killed. And that is what's weighing on Superman right now, John Kent. This is why he's having the conversation with the hologram of his father in the fortress. And Helix notices this. Helix is the computer robot in the fortress. He goes all the way to fucking Bloodhaven. And I love this because ever so subtly, you fucking notice that Barbara and Dick are in the same bed. I'm like, nice. But Barbara's like, hey, Dick, there's a robot petting your dog right now. And fucking Nightwing just throws one of his batarangs or his nightsticks or whatever, his, what are they fucking called? Batons. And Helix is like, hey, you threw this really fast at me. You must have dropped it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so fucking funny. Um, and this was actually something that we had talked about earlier in past issues. Superman, before he left off planet, had talked to Nightwing and said, hey, I'm going to be off planet for a while. If my
Yeah.
son ever needs anything, can I trust you to be there for him? And this is very important because there was a really important relationship between Superman and Robin, Dick Grayson, very
Hmm.
young in his career. And he actually was motivated to become Nightwing because of Superman.
Yeah.
So, there's a really deep connection there. And so Nightwing is very, very like, oh shit, like that was like weeks ago and I haven't said anything to him. I need to go
Yeah.
fucking talk to this kid. Um, and I don't know if you would want to because of the story continuing or whatever. This is going to continue in Superman
Oh,
in
okay.
the next issue. So Nightwing will technically be in there. I don't know if you would want to cover that story.
Well, I mean, if it ties into this, I don't mind reading it. I just don't know when it comes out. Like, I don't look at the Superman books.
Yeah, I'll let you know. But we are reintroduced to Superman and his boyfriend. And his boyfriend runs this, like, it's called The Truth. It
Hmm.
is a, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's basically a broadcast of, like,
Hmm.
hey, like almost like freaking Daily Planet. It's like news, but it's more of
Yeah.
like, hey, we're going to make the world a better place by giving the truth to people rather than secrets and lies and all of this other
Yeah.
stuff. And right now, that works best for what Dick Grayson is doing because of what he had just announced with the Alfred Pennyworth Foundation.
Hmm.
So, it seems that, Dick Grayson is kind of wanting to be an investor and really, go into this. There's a really nice line in here that Dick Grayson says, I'm more than happy to continue to fund what you're doing, but truth requires trust.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, let me in a little bit more and everything else. Well, they're interrupted because we have seen in prior panels that a an old Titan had actually been murdered.
Yeah.
And so Superman and Nightwing go in to investigate this, and they find out. And like I'm looking at these heroes here, we find out from Oracle that a hero from Spain and a hero from Brazil have died. And I'm looking at
Yeah.
these heroes; they're not unrecognizable to me, and I'm just like, "There's a fucking hero in Spain? Why the fuck do I not know about this? Like,
Yeah.
I want to know about these people."
Well, they're
But
dead now.
but this is just a team up between these two characters because Dick Grayson is going to try and get John in a better headspace
Yeah.
to be a better Superman. And their investigation leads them to LexCorp or
Yeah.
Lex Tower. So that is basically the entire issue. This was really, really fun. I'm really enjoying it. I, of course, have been reading the Superman title. So it was pretty much pretty seamless for me. So I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. What do you think?
I enjoyed it too. I will say because I haven't been reading the Superman thing, so when I saw his boyfriend in this book, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I was like, I completely forgot about this, and I was like, oh shit. Um, but it made me think of something. So we know that in comics, the gay thing is still pretty fresh, to be honest. Besides
Mhm.
Batwoman, like they don't really cover it with men, I should
Yeah.
say. With men, it's still very fresh. But out of all of the stories that do deal with LGBT characters, has there ever been a coming out story, or has it always just been like they're getting married, they're kissing, blah blah blah? Like, has there ever been a good story where it's like over time, then they end up coming out?
Not to my knowledge, because even there was a tie-in for I think it was shit. Was it in Robin or was it with Superman? Um, Damian
Mm-hmm.
and Superman, John Kent, are on a rooftop, and Damian just kind of is like standing there smiling at him,
Yeah.
And John's like, what? He's like, I'm happy for you. And I'm like, God damn it. Nobody's talking about the hard conversations.
Yeah.
Like, I understand everybody wants the joy, everybody wants the happy, everybody wants like to feel good. But I still think it's important to have those stories.
Yeah.
You know?
Because, like, over the span of, like, you don't have to go 100 issues like Tom King, right? Like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
12 issues could suffice, maybe. But having a character that struggles, like, even if you were to get somebody that has went through this, like an LGBT writer, be like, hey, we want a real story of the struggle of somebody that's hiding, like, that's in the closet but wants to come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're a hero. And, like, I think that story would be so much more powerful than, like, oh, look, they kissed. Oh, Superman's son, he's gay or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I totally like that. That's fine. But tell me, like, give me the story. Like, you know, like, we didn't get to suffer through John, or we didn't get to see why. I'm not saying that it should be a suffering thing, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
Like, I know so many friends that were in the closet for a really long time. You know what I mean? Or have their own stories of doing whatever. But I would want to know that story, because I think reading those stories is what makes it more relatable and understandable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like, because when you do it like this, again, because we saw it happen on that one issue where they were making a big deal about it, it feels like a cash grab. But if you're laying the seeds of the foundation over the course of multiple issues, and then you have them come out in a big issue, like, and it could be in like a really big moment, like after they've saved the world and done all this stuff, and then they confide in somebody, being like, this is who I am. And like, if I'm going to continue saving the world, I'm going to be who I really want to be. And the world has to accept that. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Yeah. And like, I think that's such a better story than just to kind of like, just throwing it out there. Because again, I'm not reading Superman. So if this was my first like look at it, I'd be like, oh, fuck. Okay. Oh, what's that? Like, but it doesn't make me want to go back and read stuff. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit unfortunate. But I will say I appreciate that he's at least keeping it going, and it's not like, oh yeah, he's gay, and then never mentions it again.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. But overall, the story was kind of cool. I'm interested to see where it's going to go. I do think it is kind of weird that it's Nightwing and John when it should be like Damian, but they did the whole like age up thing, so now it just works better with Nightwing, and I'm just like, World's Finest Sons. I think it would be better if it's Damian and John, you know? But it is what it is. Personally, I still would try to find a way to make him go back to being young. I still don't like Big John.
We've had those conversations off of podcasts, so that way, in case any of us get the chance to write that story someday.
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't know. I just don't like that we didn't get to see him really grow up. Like, he just fucking transformed.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Because what do you do when Superman comes back? Are they just both called Superman?
I would assume so, because now we have two people called Batman.
That's true. Which I don't like it, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what else would you call him? Super guy. That's the super guy.
I mean, technically, if you want, you can go back to Superboy.
Yeah. I mean, because he's still, 17?
Yeah.
Super child, super teenager. Something. But, yeah, I don't know. Either way, solid issue. I'm glad that Nightwing's getting some really solid stories. I have one gripe about this, though. Where the fuck is the villain that's stealing hearts, man?
Yeah. And any talk or conversation about his sister?
For real!
Yeah.
That was like issue 1 and 2 of this Tom Taylor series, and we have not heard jack shit from that.
Yeah.
So, as much as I love Taylor, he's really stretching that out.
I wonder if it got like a slap on the wrist for him or something. Like, oh, that can't be, something that you do. You got to veer away,
Yeah, like they didn't want... Well, I mean, but that's something you would have verified way before going into writing, you think,
But like, from what I hear, editors have kind of been lacking recently as far as like really doing their job. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because I will say, that was the bombshell that was like, oh, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Like, seeing that he has a sister. But dude, like, genuinely, we haven't heard jack shit. Like,
she was on that Titans thing when the Titans came in to save him or whatever.
That issue
she was
so
there.
Good. Was that the last issue?
That was the last issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even though this is monthly, man, still, like, and I know he had the Fear State bullshit to deal with, but, like, you can only use that excuse for so long.
Yeah.
And now he's doing Sun's Finest. Like, come on, man. Like, you know what? Hopefully, if he's smart, if they're breaking into LexCorp or doing whatever, he finds out something about his sister there.
Yeah.
That way he ties it back in. But the Heart guy is still huge. Like, granted, he was in the last issue, but I don't know. It just feels like he's getting away from some of his stories just to tie in everything else. But for the most part, still good. I'm still enjoying it. Comics have been pretty solid, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know what we have next week. Do we have a lot next week?
I
think it's Catwoman and something else.
So next week we have
pretty sure it's
Catwoman, DC versus Vampires #5. I will take a look at Deathstroke Inc., but we have Detective. Then we have Robin 11.
Human Target 5.
And Human Target 5. So we have 5 books next week.
Nice. We haven't really been covering Robins, though, because it's been kind of shit in the bed.
Yeah, no, Robins with the S was this week. We haven't been covering it. But Robin next week, we may talk about it. Really depends on how it's reading.
Yeah. Anyways, Clay, that is everything for reviews. But what do you got going on this week, man?
So this week, of course, I will be talking over at DC Alliance everything that we talked about with Batman and everything else. I'm going to be talking Peacemaker. Superman and Lois will probably show up next week as well. Looking forward to our Star Wars conversations over at Star Wars Alliance. But yeah, we're just, really just prepping for Batman. I think we're going to be talking, like I said, about that 50-second clip with Gordon getting punched or whatever. So nice. We'll see what it is in context.
Nice. Guys, go check out my YouTube channels. If you just go check out my main one, Juice from the Box, you can go see all my other channels that are connected to it. If you go to the channels tab, I have so many. Definitely go check those out. I've been posting out a bunch of content. But other than that, that is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Go subscribe to the Batman News Weekly YouTube channel. Leave your questions for the next podcast or join the Discord. Have some conversations with us during the week. But that is going to be it for this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. As always, he is Fanboy Clay. I am Juice Wayne. And remember, Batman is awesome.